and we're going to do several different live streams today. We're going to do it specific for the sport that's closing, that's locking earliest. So what we're going to do is at 4 o'clock, which is now, we're going to just completely focus on the baseball, and then we're going to come back at 6 and do the hockey. NHL has a very big contest tonight, paying off a lot of money. I really hope that continues. But so far so good. Good on DraftKings for making NHL like really lucrative. I worry now that some of the sim sharks or whatever will make it harder, but that's fine. I'm always up for the challenge. And then so we'll do that at 6, and then I have to eat, and then at 7:30 we're going to come back with Bobby, and we're going to do the what you call it, the NFL Showdown, which I think is really interesting tonight. So this is really interesting. It's a full 2-game slate in Major League Baseball. It's kind of funny to say it that way, but that's what it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, but I think the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to see if I can degen the Showdown slate. So I'm going to share the screen here, and let me see if there is a Showdown slate that is worth playing that's not closed yet, because I do love building those, even though I'm really not very good at it. I'm not going to lie. No, it's not. It's already closed. But you know what? The later one is not. So we can have some fun. We're going to build some for the. Yeah, we're definitely doing that. We will do some for the late Showdown slate. I'll probably have to. We do already have lineups, so we can. Definitely. We can definitely do that. So let me just reserve those lineups for first, so that I don't forget. Otherwise, I might forget. Switch hitter, that's what they call it. Okay, we'll build 30 of those. Okay, very good. So we are going to do some Showdown for Major League Baseball as well, just to kind of keep stay in shape, I guess, best way to put it. For those of you that weren't here earlier, you know what? I don't want to go over my poker exploits again. If you want, you can look at the NFL preview slate, which Bobby did earlier. I spent about 10 minutes talking about my poker exploits in this past week. But the short version is kind of taught the young Wizards a lesson a little bit. I got 12th in something I hadn't played in a long time, and it's pretty good. Anyway, so this is what the sheets look like for today. One thing I see is that I'm missing some players. So we're going to have to see what I'm missing here. I only have 37 players projected, and well, actually there should be 40 players, right? Because it's 4 pitchers and some hitters. So we're going to have to figure out what's going on here. As a matter of fact, I can probably test that right now. Let me go, and then we'll build. I can test it by just putting into SaberSim, but I'm just kind of curious to see what I missed. This is going to be kind of behind the scenes stuff. I'll show you in a second. I know, just give us the picks. Who do you like? You know what? Doesn't matter. It's a freaking 2-game slate. It's not even a question of who I like, right? It's a question of how you build. That's what 2-game slates are all about anyway. Let me just see what I'm missing here. It looks like, yeah, okay. So I'm getting a projection from Aroldis Chapman there, but I'm missing Diaz at catcher, maybe. I don't know exactly. So guys, I should have all of these. For some reason, I guess I'm missing Diaz and McCormick. So I guess my question is, are those guys playing? So let me look at that real quick. And then I'll see who I need to fix. So McCormick and hold on, let me just see. Well, it's later anyway, but still. Oh, they don't even have it listed anyway. Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right, so we'll deal with that later. Okay, so we can't really even build the Houston Showdown, but we will based on what we know, and then we'll just rebuild it later. Just give you an idea of what we're doing. All right, so sorry. So back to the sheets here. Let me just pull that up. And again, just it's not really that relevant, the sheets today, but just to show you, look how close everybody is in sheets value score, right? It's just craziness. But you do have to pick 4 pitchers, and they all look terrible. Haney, Suarez, Fat, and Urquidy. They're literally like the lowest rated. They're literally the lowest rated of all of the players. How funny is that? Like on the value score, they're literally rated the lowest. Pretty nuts, right? So, and you have to play 2 of them. But which leads me to this question. Let me pull it up here for a second. I'll show you the question. Is it worth playing someone like Aroldis Chapman at 4K? I think it's a very legitimate question on a slate like this. Whether you can allow the relievers into your builds, especially when the pitchers project so poorly. I mean, you got to be really good, though. I mean, you got to get there. You know what I mean? You have to get in the game. On a 2-game slate, is it worth it? I don't think so, but I don't know. I'm going to think about it. So if you were going to just try to hand build with just using these sheets, you'd probably just drive yourself to the lunatic asylum, because literally anything that you played would probably look good. I mean, I guess the best thing I could tell you is to just go with the lowest owned players. It's one baseball game, right? And everybody rates very similarly. So I would probably just go with the lowest owned guys, sort of. But I don't know. That's a little bit too lazy. So let's at least do a SaberSim build. How about that? So we'll pull up SaberSim and we'll make some use of this. We'll run 2 sets of builds. We'll run a regular build, and then we'll run a build using the contest simulations. And then we'll just see what they look like. You know, remember, you don't have to play what the optimizers spit out for you. Like even if you put out your own, your own projections, your own everything. This is I've heard this is America, so to speak, and I can do whatever I want. So let's upload the sheets as we have them for now. Again, the late games, I'm not exactly sure what I have. So here I have McCormick with a 0 here. I'm just not sure how that's going to pan out. We'll just build based on what we know, and then we'll probably change later. So we'll change our settings. We'll go build settings. We're only going to play 30 lineups in this thing today, right? Yeah. Rebuild lineups, and we will be off to the races. So that's the question. Who's going to play between McCormick and Diaz, maybe in the DH spot. I'm not sure. We shall see. So let's build these and see what we come up with. Again, just for those of you here for the first time, we're building 5,000 lineups. They're all good. I mean, they're all just the top 5,000 lineups. Given the need for correlation, the need for upside, and all that stuff, using the exact projections that we worked on to, we hopefully have some of the best projection systems out there working for us. So let's see what we can come up with, and then we will apply the contest simulation tool to attempt to pair the actual lineups we want with the actual contests we want to play. And again, that technology is, I have to caution you. I mean, it's really cool, but it is very new. I mean, I can't even vouch that it's accurate, if you want to know the truth. It seems to make sense, but it just hasn't stood the test of time yet. Anyway, okay, so here's like what your normal type builds would look like if you built 30 lineups. And what those would look like is this. Team stacks, it would give you about 83% Texas, and then about 60% Philadelphia. And then it actually spreads out pretty well, and Houston would be the least owned team. Oh, this is FanDuel. Well, this is the second time I've done this, and no one's called me on this. So I suck, but you all suck too. So we have to start over. We are going to go back into the DraftKings section. We will upload the DraftKings projections. Now, I've tried this before as well. I've tried to upload the DraftKings projections to the FanDuel Optimizer just to get a little different. But let's see. Let's do this again. We're going to build settings, 30 lineups, rebuild lineups. We're on DraftKings? Yeah, we're on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. You have to think most of those pitchers are going to get above 8, right? You see those projections? Those are nuts. And they can get 8 points in one inning. Just strike out the side. That's what we're getting. I can't wait to do the showdown later. Got all kinds of terrible plays ready to attempt to win the $1 million. I mean, this is just going to be the worst. You follow who I recommend in showdown, I guarantee you sleep in the streets. But every once in a while, right? That's how showdown works. The every once in a while. It's the question of what every means, what once means, and certainly what while means. All right. So, as I was saying, we're going to run a contest sim, or we're not even seeing what the originals look like. So it looks like a bunch of, like Phillies, Astros, Phillies, Astros, Phillies, Astros, Phillies, Astros, right? Pretty crazy, right? Here, we can check it out before it changes. Yep, 70% Philly, 66%, 70% Houston, 66% Philly, 0 Texas. Let's go. That's what I like. Oh, no kidding, Jay Smooth. 6 p.m. we're going live to do the NHL. All right, so running the contest, and this is what I like to see. I like to see what happens to the builds when we transfer the original kind of like good builds to the contest sim builds. So again, to remind ourselves, we have 0 Texas and spread out of the others. So let's see what happens. And we're going to use the relay throw. Now we get 93% Houston. That's what I'm talking about. So again, to recap, let's look at this again. Here we have 80, 60, 56, 0 Texas. But then we apply the actual contest that we're playing. Then we get almost all of the Houston. So to me, like, this is extremely interesting. Whether I decide to actually do this is not nearly as important as what this means. What this means is that based on what everybody's going to be playing, that you're probably going to get much lower ownership of Houston and everything else. And likewise, Philly is probably going to be really popular. So you probably want to avoid that. That's what this is leading me to conclude. Okay. Now, if you do min uniques too, you give yourself a little bit of a break, and you give yourself a little bit spread out ownership there. But I mean, I will just tell you what I do. I tend to just kind of roll with this for now. Especially in baseball, when you got to do whatever it takes to be, to be unique. I'll do this. And you know what's also good about having all this Houston is that I can always change my mind later. Okay. So we are actually going to roll with this. So we're basically taking, in the first game, a lot of Arizona and much less Philly, but postponing a lot of ownership to the Houston game, which is totally okay. So we'll do that. We will put that into the relay throw. Boom. And then now let's see what it looks like when we look at it in terms of the perfect game, which is the bigger buy-in. We'll play, we're only playing one lineup, so we'll just do our top lineup there. And same type of thing, like mostly Houston and Arizona. You getting Moreno hitting third today? Okay, that's why that, he's gonna show up. Wow, Moreno hitting third. I mean, he's really good. I think he's gonna be more popular in this if you want to know the truth, but we will insert that. As far as my opinions on the game, I really don't have one. I wish, you know what I mean? Like I'm just honest. I usually don't have a lot of opinions on gambling. You know what I mean? On the actual games. When I do, they're usually pretty good. Just so you guys know, I did my MMA DFS breakdown earlier. I'm going to do my Circa Millions NFL against the spread contest video a little bit later. And then I'm also going to do the MMA betting breakdown tomorrow. Really good card. Okay, let's do FanDuel now. We'll take a look at it. We'll do the same thing. We'll take a look at FanDuel, and after we do that, we're definitely going to do a showdown for the late slate, for the late one, just to see what it looks like. So FanDuel, again, this is like just kind of stupid, but all the pitchers look awful, and all the players look the same. So this is really. I like that the top-rated guy is only 19%. That's fine. So look, if you wanted to build a lineup, just build. Listen, the top guys are Houston guys, so play 1, 2, 3, 4 Houstons, and then 1, 2, 3 Texases, and game stack it like that. That's totally fine. But I do like to utilize the technology that's at my disposal. Listen, when you're playing 2-game slates, so much of this becomes on little subtle changes in your constructions, and it's just silly not to make use of these technologies that will help you do this. So let's just see what I would get. And what's good about this is it's not like we're using the same projections as everybody else, right? So it's not like we're duping the same process either. We have our own customized projections, so we're already a little bit different. So let's upload the FanDuel ones. Excuse me. By the way, this should go without saying, but feel free to ask any questions at all in any of these chats, and it doesn't have to even be specific to the sport or anything. The worst that happens is I'm like, I don't want to answer it. You know what I mean? Take advantage of me being here. Honestly, I have a couple of things I know something about. Most things I don't, but a couple of things I do. All right. All right. So the FanDuel ones are updated. Let's again build 30 lineups. Again, I keep saying that the wrong way. We're not building 30 lineups. We're building 5,000 lineups. We're just listing the top 30, and then we are listing the top 30 in the various contests that we're playing. As a matter of fact, we're only listing the top 30 for the contests where we're entering 30, right? We're playing the squeeze where there's 30 entries of ours, and then we're playing one in the monster. So we look at the sim settings again. This is what I put in before. I put in number 1, what the contest size is, what percent to first, and then this is very important, what field lineups we are comparing our lineups to. And for the squeeze, they have this flagship MME preset set of lineups, which makes a lot of sense. And then with the monster, there's a high stakes MME thing. Okay. So Mamba's asking, that's an interesting one. What's your bet? How to get the ceiling guys scores in my Sims build? I don't know exactly what you're asking. I just kind of let it do its thing. I don't know how else to describe it because like what they do, I'll give you an example. Like you take a guy like Kyle Tucker, right? You click through this. What this will do, if in fact it was loading, which it is not for some reason, but usually what it does when you click on these players is it shows this kind of range of outcomes, okay, of where some of their results. Oh, like this, right? So what this is doing is it's showing in what percent of Sims they score each number of points, right? So 30% here, 30% of the time you get 0. 18%, 18% of the time you get this, right? So you are going to get like a ceiling performance a certain percentage of the time. I don't think you could force in, a ceiling performance. That's not the way simulations work. You could up their median projection, but I think that's kind of I don't think that's making proper use of the technology. But I'll show you one thing you can do. I think. Hold on. You can rate these guys by like the 100th percentile, the 99th percentile. I'll show you how to do that in a second. That's something you can do. So let's do the Sims build first, and I think this might answer your question. So let's first before we even do let's try to answer Mama's question here right now. Let's just sort these by the 99th percentile. So that's what this does. When you sort these lineups by 99th percentile, these rate these lineups by the ceilings. This assumes that they all make their ceiling performance when they're ranking these. So that is one thing you could do. Percentile 99th. Okay, so within here, we're going to rate these, though, by the squeeze. Yeah, there it is. Yep. So in the squeeze, let's see what the exposure looks like. Team stacks, again, mostly Houston, but then Philly, Texas, Arizona, same thing. So I'm going to go with this again. This was very useful to me last time, is to really just jam Houston. And I can always change this later. That's what I kind of like. So let's save these to the squeeze. And then we will sort these by the monster. We will put this one in here. Again, Phillies, Houston, makes sense. Save that to contests. Download this. Yep. And then we will upload this to FanDuel. But with the incorrect exposures, all my lineups end up finish top 20th or worse. Yeah, I don't know. The other thing, by the way, a really good resource that I'd like to turn you guys on to, if you haven't already seen it, is SaberSim itself has a YouTube channel, and every day at I think 2:00 Eastern time they have what's called office hours, and they take all these questions, and they're really really good about giving answers. And listen, they know it obviously better than I do. So if I go there from time to time because I run into issues. I don't know how all this works. I'm learning like everybody else. I'm getting better, but there's still subtleties. So So that's the thing, 2 p.m. office hours within the SaberSim YouTube channel. Okay, so that's FanDuel. So now let's take a shot at this. You guys want to skip out, I understand, but let's take a shot. I want to take a shot at doing this showdown slate for the late game. As a matter of fact, we could do it for the early, but we're just not going to be able to play it. That's kind of dumb then. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Because the thing about showdown, the reason why I'm not really good at it is because a lot of it really comes down to how well you know the relievers. Because that's a really important question every single time, is whether to get to the relievers and which ones. Because the projections really don't help. I mean, you have to have an idea of whether these guys are actually getting in the game. So let's take a look though. Let's just use the SaberSim projections for this. Okay, let's just use these. We'll use the SaberSim projections. Actually, we don't have to. We'll use the SaberSim projections for the showdown thing, because you'll see what happens is you have Aroldis Chapman with like a 6, and that's a huge projection relative to like the starter. The starter only has what? 13? Yeah, but I guess not. He's still too expensive, I think. So a question is going to be is at least 4,000 in the flex. So the question is going to be is whether we want to use these relievers or not. Well, let's just see. Let's build 30 lineups with no. Let's have some fun with the software here. We'll build 30 lineups. We'll build 2,000 lineups. Sorry. We'll build this, and now we got to put the contest sims in, right? We have to put in the settings. We have to put in how many people are in that tournament and all that stuff. So let me look that up on the other screen. Okay. MLB Showdown. So in the relay throw later, there's to be 1,967 people. So let's put this in. Relay throw. Just put relay. When I say 3921, so 3,921 people entries. Sorry, and that's paying 20% for first. Okay, and we'll save those settings, and we're also going to play that. What's it called? The switch hitter. Add that. We'll call that the switch hitter. And that's going to be 67 people. It's going to be how much for first? 3K into 11,000, so about 20%. Actually, about 25%. So we will save that. And let's run the contest sim first. And then I want to see how many relief pitchers we get in there, because that's really going to be. If we don't get any relief pitchers in there, I could probably just go with what they say. But I have to tell you, I like playing the relievers. I do. I think it's a good way to play the showdown. It's just kind of hard to know which ones to play. So let's just see first of all what we do here. So in the relay throw, risk adjusted ROI, let's see what we get. So how many relievers do we get? So actually, it looks like Aroldis Chapman is like my highest owned player. Oh goodness, 70% Aroldis Chapman. I'm just not doing that. And then you have Hector Neris, 33% of my lineups with Hector Neris with that. And you see why, right? Because their ownership is 8 and 1%. And since they're listed there, that's it. When you run a contest sim, that's just what you're going to get in the relay throw. That's just kind of the bottom line. Just to kind of compare it, let me see when you just build without the contest sim thing, then what do you get? Then you get, I think, 0 of the relievers. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, you could do a couple of things. You could run 15 of one and 15 of the other, and then really gamble. on those relievers. It's also weird is you get none of the starting pitchers in the captain, and very little of the pitchers at all. This is kind of nuts, right? Urquidy here, 0. And then Heaney, 0. So 0. I think that's got to get me different enough to have 0 pitchers. Wow. Okay, for now, this is just what I'm going to do. Okay, so we are going to do 15. Crap. 15 of these. Actually, you know what? This isn't going to work. I have to cut and paste this. For now, we're just going to do all 30 with no relievers, with just pure hitting, no relievers, and just hope we get lucky, I guess. Put those in here. Showdown, relay throw, and then what if I use the simulator, but we just did in this one, in the big one. Okay, I don't get all the relievers in this one, so that's fine. This actually gets me Urquidy in the captain. It's this is kind of a cool build for that tournament, actually. So let's put that one in there. And then we will download these. And we're going to come back later. As a matter of fact, when we do the NFL Showdown one a little later, I think those lineups will be in. So we'll be able to do it then. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so that will do it. At 6 o'clock, we will be back for hockey. And that's it. Good luck.